What if I told you that the richest human being in the history of planet Earth was once a skinny, bullied, lonely little boy sitting in the corner of a library in South Africa with no friends and nothing but a book in his hands? What if I told you that same boy taught himself how to code at age 10, sold his first software at age 12, and was told by teachers, by family, by so-called experts that he was too weird, too intense, too much. They were right. He was too much. He was too much for a normal life, too much for a regular career, too much for O&E Company, or TWO companies, or 5 companies, B-roll, Tesla cars, SpaceX rockets launching, Starlink satellites, X logo, fast montage. Today, that boy is worth over $300 billion. He has sent rockets to space. He is building cities on Mars. He owns the most powerful social media platform on Earth. He is literally trying to rewire the human brain. And today, in the next 3 to 4 hours, we are going to break down every single step of how he did it. Not the polished version, not the PR version, the real version, the one with the pain, the failures, the betrayals, the obsession. Stay with me. Before there was Tesla, before there was SpaceX, before there was a net worth with more zeros than most people can count, there was a boy named Elon, and his childhood was not what you would expect. Elon Reeve Musk was born on June 28, 1971, in Pretoria, South Africa. His father, Elon Musk, was an engineer and property developer, successful by South African standards, but complex, deeply complex. His mother, May Musk, was a model and dietitian, brilliant, beautiful, and the kind of woman who would eventually appear on magazine covers well into her 70s. On paper, Elon's family looked fine. Underneath the surface, it was anything but. Elon Musk was, by many accounts, including Elon's own, a difficult man, cold, controlling, capable of great cruelty. Elon has said in interviews that his father was a terrible human being who did almost every evil thing you could possibly think of. That is a son talking about his father. That is not a small thing. B-roll. Young boy alone in a house, reading, dim light, solitude. From a very young age, Elon retreated into his own world. Books, science fiction, philosophy, engineering manuals. He didn't just read books, he consumed them, devoured them. His family said he would read 10 hours a day, TWO encyclopedias cover to cover by the time he was a young teen. Think about that. When most kids were playing outside, Elon Musk was reading encyclopedias for fun. At school, things were even harder. Elon was small for his age, quiet, socially awkward, in a way that today many people believe could be attributed to what might now be recognized as Asperger's syndrome. He has publicly acknowledged this himself. And children, as children often do to anyone who is different, were cruel. He was bullied, physically, severely. There is one incident that Elon has described where a group of boys beat him so badly at school that he had to be hospitalized. They threw him down a flight of stairs. Let that land. The richest man in the world was once thrown down a staircase by bullies. And here's what I want you to understand. Pain like that either breaks you or it built something in you that is unbreakable. For Elon Musk, it built something. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Okay, rough childhood. A lot of people have rough childhoods. What made Elon different? Great question. And the answer starts at age 9 with a single computer. In 1980, personal computers were just beginning to exist for regular people. Most adults didn't understand them. Most kids didn't care about them. Elon Musk got one and became obsessed. Not just I like playing games on it, obsessed. I am going to teach myself to code this machine, obsessed. The computer came with a manual. It was supposed to take 6 months to work through. Elon finished it in 3 days. 3 days at age 9. By age 10, he had taught himself basic programming. By age 11, he had created his first video game. By age 12, he sold it.
Works.
The game was called Blaster. It was a simple space-themed shooter game. Nothing revolutionary by today's standards. But let's put this in context. This child, this 12-year-old boy, sat down, wrote the code from scratch, and then had the audacity to submit it to a tech magazine called PC and Office Technology. And they published it. And they paid him for it. $500. $500. In 1983. That's roughly $1,500 to $2,000 in today's money. Made by a 12-year-old. From code he wrote himself. From a computer manual he read in 3 days. Right there, at age 12. You can already see the pattern that would define Elon Musk's entire life. Obsession, speed, execution, results. Not I have an idea. Not someday maybe. He had an idea. He learned the skill. He built the thing. He sold it. At 12 Y ears, OLD, B-roll, airport, passport. Young man with a single bag, open sky. But South Africa could not hold Elon Musk. His parents divorced when he was around 10 years old. He initially lived with his father, a decision he later described as a mistake. And as he grew older, one thing became crystal clear. He needed to get out. South Africa in the 1980s was still under apartheid. The military was mandatory for young men, and the opportunities, for someone with Elon's mind, were simply not there. He had a vision, and that vision required America. So at age 17, with barely any money, Elon Musk made his first massive, life-defining decision. He left. He didn't wait for permission. He didn't wait for the right time. He moved first to Canada, because his mother had Canadian heritage, and worked a series of odd jobs. Shoveling grain in grain storage, working at a lumber mill, cleaning boilers. The future trillionaire was shoveling grain, and he was doing it happily, because he knew it was temporary, because he had a plan. From Canada, he enrolled at Queen's University in Ontario. And here, for the first time, Elon Musk began to find his people. He was sharp, charismatic in a different way now. He cold-called executives. He reached out to people he admired. He was building his network before networking was even a concept people talked about. He transferred to the University of Pennsylvania, an Ivy League school, where he pursued dual degrees, one in economics from Wharton and one in physics. Economics and physics. Because Elon Musk never does ON thing when he could do TWO. In college, he and a friend rented a house and turned it into a nightclub on weekends to make money. Because of course he did. And it was at Penn, in a late-night conversation, that Elon Musk first articulated what would become his life mission, the goals that would drive everything he would ever do. He named 5 areas he believed would most change the future of humanity. 1, the internet. 2, sustainable energy. 3, space exploration. 4, artificial intelligence. 5, reprogramming human genetics. He was a college student, and he had already decided he was going to work on all of them. In 1995, Elon Musk was accepted into a PhD program at Stanford University. He lasted TWO dies. 2 days. He walked into Stanford, looked around, thought about the internet revolution that was just beginning to explode, and decided, I cannot sit in a classroom while the world is changing. So he withdrew. He called his brother Kimball Musk, and together they started a company. With $28,000 from their father, they started a company called Zip2. Zip2 was simple in concept but visionary for its time. It was essentially an online city guide, like combining a business directory with maps, and selling it to newspapers so they could provide digital local search to their readers. This was 1995. Google didn't exist. Almost no businesses were online. Elon and Kimball were selling the future to people who didn't know they needed it yet, and they worked for it in a way that is almost impossible to understand from the outside. They didn't have an office at first. They coded out of a small rented room. They didn't have an apartment. Elon slept at the office, on a beanbag. He would shower at the local YMCA, 1 meal a day. Sometimes, hot dogs and oranges when they could afford it. And he coded, night and day, 7 days a week. Not because he had to, because he was possessed by it. This is the part of Elon Musk's story that gets glossed over in the highlight reels. The man did the work. Not just the vision, not just the fundraising, the AC2L coding, the actual sales calls,
the actual grinding. Zip2 grew. They got contracts with major newspapers, the New York Times, the Chicago Tribune. Investors came in. A board was formed. And then, as happens to many founders, the board pushed Elon out of the CEO role. He had started the company. He had lived on a beanbag to build it. And they told him he wasn't ready to lead it. He was 27 years old, and the company he created had just removed him from power. In 1999, Compaq, one of the biggest tech companies of that era, acquired Zip2 for $307 million. Elon Musk personally received $22 million. $22 million. At 27 years old, most people would retire. Most people would buy a house, travel the world, relax.
Elon Musk did not even take a vacation. He started an Oather company the same week. Here is what separates the wealthy from the ultra-wealthy. The wealthy get rich and protect their money. The ultra-wealthy get rich and immediately bet it all on the next thing. Elon Musk took a significant chunk of his $22 million and put it into his next company, a company that would become one of the most important financial platforms in human history, a company you almost certainly use, or have used, or have sent money through. It started as a company called X.com. You might know it by its later name, PayPal. In 1999, online banking was terrifying to most people. The idea of sending money over the internet felt like science fiction or a scam. Elon Musk saw something different. He saw the future of money. He founded X.com, an online financial services company, with the radical idea that people should be able to email money to each other as easily as sending a text. Think about that in 1999 terms. Emailing money. It sounded absurd. It was actually genius. Around the same time, a competing company called Confinity, founded by Peter Thiel and Max Levchin, had a similar product called PayPal. The two companies were going to war. And then, in one of the most significant business decisions of that era, they merged. X.com and Confinity became one company. And the power struggle that followed was intense. There were philosophical differences, technical disagreements, culture clashes. In 2000, while Elon was on his honeymoon, the board voted to remove him as CEO. Removed. From his own company, again. While he was on his honeymoon, he came back. He found out. And he had to decide, fight it or accept it? He accepted it. And the company was renamed PayPal. In 2002, eBay acquired PayPal for $1.50 billion. Elon Musk, as the largest shareholder, received approximately $180 million. $180 million. He was 30 years old. And here is where most stories end. Boy makes good, gets rich, lives happily ever after. But Elon Musk's story was just beginning. In 2002, Elon Musk had $180 million in his bank account, and he made a decision so crazy, so reckless, so audacious, that the smartest people in Silicon Valley thought he had lost his mind. He decided to start a rocket company, not an app, not another internet startup, not something safe, a company to build rockets, to go to Mars. People laughed. Seriously. They literally laughed at him, Jim Cantrell. But one of the early people Elon brought in to advise him on aerospace has said that when Elon first shared his vision, the reaction from serious rocket scientists was disbelief and amusement. Who is this internet guy who thinks he can build a rocket? Elon didn't care. He did what he always does. He got the books, every aerospace engineering textbook he could find, and he read them, all of them, until he understood the material well enough to have technical conversations with actual rocket scientists. This is the thing about Elon Musk that most people underestimate. He is not just a CEO who hires smart people. He becomes an expert in whatever he needs to understand. He taught himself rocket science, not as a hobby, as a job. In June 2002, Elon Musk founded Space Exploration Technologies Corp., SpaceX. His stated mission was explicit, bold, and to most people, completely insane: to make humanity a multi-planetary species, to build reusable rockets, to colonize Mars. The existing space industry thought this was a joke. NASA had a shuttle program. Boeing and Lockheed Martin had the rocket monopoly. These were trillion-dollar institutions with decades of infrastructure. And here comes a guy from Silicon Valley with a PayPal check. Who thinks he can beat them? But Elon had one insight that changed everything. Rockets don't have to be thrown away. Every rocket that had ever launched before was essentially a one-time use machine. You spend hundreds of millions of dollars building it. You launch it, and it crashes into the ocean. Gone. Elon asked, what if you could land the rocket? What if you could reset, like a plane? Planes don't crash into the ocean after every flight. Why should rockets? Everyone in aerospace said it was impossible. Elon said, watch me. But before we get to the triumphs, we need to talk about the failures. Because between 2006 and 2008, Elon Musk came closer to total, complete, devastating ruin than almost any other billionaire in history. And I mean that literally. At one point, he did not have enough money to fund Butch, SpaceX, and Tesla for another month. He had to choose which company to let die. This is the moment that defines Elon Musk more than any success. Stay with me, B-roll, early Tesla concept art, the original Roadster, a garage in Silicon Valley, the early 2000s EV landscape, which was essentially nothing now. At the same time he was building SpaceX, Elon Musk got involved in another company, Tesla. Important clarification, because this is a common misconception. Elon Musk did not found Tesla. Tesla Motors was founded in 2003 by Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning. They named it after Nikola Tesla, the legendary inventor. In 2004, they were looking for investment. They approached Elon Musk. And Elon, who had already been thinking about electric vehicles for years, immediately saw the vision. He invested $6.5 million as the lead investor in Tesla's first funding round. And he became chairman of the board. For the first few years, things seemed to be moving forward. The team was working on the Tesla Roadster, the company's first car, a sleek, fast, electric sports car. But behind the scenes, costs were spiraling, timelines were slipping, and tensions between Elon and the founding team were building. In 2007, Elon Musk pushed out CEO Martin Eberhard. In 2008, after a messy leadership transition, Elon Musk took over as CEO of Tesla himself. He was now simultaneously the CEO of a rocket company and the CEO of a car company, both of which were burning money, and the world was about to fall apart. Heavy. Documentary serious. Taichi Crisis C Chapter. The global financial crisis. The worst economic catastrophe since the Great Depression. Banks were failing. Companies were collapsing. Investment dried up overnight. And in the middle of all this, Elon Musk was watching busts of his companies run out of money simultaneously. At SpaceX, they had launched their Falcon 1 rocket 3 times. 3 times. And 3 times it had failed. The first launch failed 25 seconds after liftoff. The second failed due to engine complications. The third failed when stages collided after separation, destroying not just their rocket, but a NASA satellite and the ashes of astronaut Gordon Cooper that were on board. 3 failures, hundreds of millions of dollars, years of work, gone. And at Tesla? The Roadster was massively delayed. Costs had ballooned to levels that threatened to sink the company. They were burning through cash. Then the financial crisis hit. Investors fled. Funding evaporated. Elon's personal fortune, the $180 million he had made from PayPal, was almost entirely gone. He has said in interviews that he was borrowing money from friends to pay his rent. Let me say that again. The man who would become the world's first trillionaire was borrowing money from friends to pay rent. In 2008, he sat down and calculated what he had left. He had enough for any more round of funding, for any company. Not both. He had to choose. PIS, VHE Most, Dramatic, Paus N, VHE N-tier. SpaceX. Or Tesla. What he did next is the stuff of legend. He split the money. He divided his last reserve between buff companies. He told himself, and told the world, that he believed in both missions enough to risk everything, including his own financial survival. He has since described this period as the worst of his life. He would cry in the shower. He couldn't sleep. The stress was physically destroying him. And then, in December 2008, 2 things happened within the same week that changed everything. December 2008. First, SpaceX launched its Falcon 1 rocket for the 4th time. And this time, it worked. Falcon 1 became the first privately funded liquid-fueled rocket to successfully reach orbit in history. The people in the SpaceX control room wept. Elon wept. Years of failure, 3 explosions, hundreds of millions of dollars, his entire fortune on the line. And on the 4th try, it worked. Days later, NASA awarded SpaceX a $1.60 billion commercial resupply services contract, $1.6 billion. SpaceX was saved, and within the same week. Tesla received a critical emergency funding round from investors who believed in the company. Tesla was saved. In 1 week, Elon Musk went from the brink of total ruin to the brink of 2 of the most important companies the world had ever seen. Forward momentum, confidence, accelerating. After 2008, something fundamental shifted. Not just in Elon's companies, in Elon himself. He had been tested in a way that breaks most people, and he had not broken. What comes next is a story of compounding wins, of technology catching up to vision, of the world finally beginning to understand what Elon Musk had been trying to build. In 2012, Tesla launched the Model S. This was not a niche sports car. This was a full-size luxury sedan that also happened to be electric, that also happened to be the safest car ever tested by the NHTSA at that point in history, that also happened to be beautiful. The automotive world was stunned. For decades, electric cars had been seen as slow, ugly, boring, practical but unexciting vehicles for people who cared more about the environment than performance. Tesla destroyed that perception. The Model S could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 4 seconds. It had a touchscreen dashboard the size of an iPad Pro, when iPad Pro didn't even exist yet. It had over-the-air software updates, meaning your car could literally get better while you slept. Automotive journalists ran out of superlatives. Consumer Reports gave it a score of 99 out of 100, the highest score they had ever given any car. The stock market noticed. Tesla's stock, which had been struggling for years, began to climb and climb and climb. At the same time, SpaceX was rewriting the economics of physics. In 2015, they achieved something that NASA and every other space agency had said was technically impossible. They landed an orbital rocket booster, vertically, on a drone ship, in the middle of the ocean. A rocket that had just carried a satellite into orbit, turned around, flew itself back to Earth, and landed. Perfectly, like it was parking itself. The internet went absolutely insane, because it looked like a video game. But it was real. What this meant for the economics of space, before SpaceX, a rocket launch cost between $150 million and $450 million. After reusable rockets, SpaceX could launch for as little as $67 million, and then lower and lower. SpaceX had cut the cost of going to space by 90%. The entire global aerospace industry had to restructure because of what one man refused to accept as impossible. But here is what most people don't talk about. While all this success was happening, Elon Musk's personal life was in chaos. His marriage to Justine ended in divorce, a painful, very public split. He married actress Tallulah Riley twice. They divorced twice. He had 6 children with Justine. One of them, their firstborn son, Nevada, died from SIDS at 10 weeks old. He has spoken about this loss rarely and with obvious pain. The man building the future was carrying wounds that no amount of money could heal. And there is something important in this, not as gossip, not as celebrity drama, but as truth. Elon Musk is not a machine. He is a human being operating at inhuman levels of intensity. And that intensity has costs for him, for the people around him, for his children, for his employees. Understanding this doesn't excuse anything, but it explains a lot. By 2012, Elon Musk was a billionaire, not a millionaire, not 100 millionaire, a billionaire. The same man who was sleeping on a beanbag and showering at the YMCA just 15 years earlier. The same man who was thrown down a staircase in school. The same man who left South Africa with almost nothing was now worth over $1 billion. And the trajectory was only going up. Most people, when they become billionaires, slow down. They buy islands. They fund charities. They give speeches at Davos. Elon Musk decided to start more companies. Because obviously, let's run through the roster. Because the breadth of this
is genuinely staggering. In 2006, Elon co-founded Solar City with his cousins, aiming to accelerate the adoption of solar energy. In 2016, Tesla acquired Solar City for $2.6 billion, a controversial move that many investors called a bailout of his cousin's struggling company. Elon defended it as creating an integrated, sustainable energy ecosystem. Today, Tesla Energy, which includes solar panels, the Powerwall home battery, and utility-scale Megapack batteries, is one of the fastest-growing parts of Tesla's business. The man isn't just making cars, he's rebuilding how the world gets and stores power, B-roll, underground tunnels, the Las Vegas Loop, electric pods zipping through tubes.
Traffic jams above for contrast. In 2016, Elon Musk was stuck in Los Angeles traffic. And instead of just being annoyed like the rest of us, he tweeted, "Traffic is driving me nuts. I'm going to build a tunnel boring machine and just start digging." And then he actually did it. The Boring Company was born. The vision, underground tunnels where electric vehicles are transported at high speed, bypassing surface traffic entirely. The Las Vegas Convention Center loop opened in 2021. Larger projects are in development across multiple cities. Elon Musk had a bad commute, so he started a tunnel company, B-roll, brain imagery, neurons firing, electrode arrays, futuristic medical interfaces. In 2016, Elon Musk co-founded Neuralink. The goal, to develop brain-computer interface technology. In other words, to put a chip in your brain that connects your thoughts directly to computers. I know how that sounds. But in January 2024, Neuralink implanted its first chip in a human patient. Within weeks, that patient, a quadriplegic, was able to control a computer cursor with his thoughts. He moved a cursor on a screen using only his mind. For someone who had lost the use of their limbs, this was transformative. The long-term vision, according to Elon, is to allow humans to merge with artificial intelligence, preventing AI from leaving humanity behind. Whether you find that inspiring or terrifying probably depends on who you are. In 2015, Elon Musk was one of the co-founders of OpenAI, the company that would eventually create ChatGPT. He was a founding backer and board member. In 2018, he left the board, citing conflicts of interest with Tesla's own AI work. But he didn't leave AI. In 2023, he founded xAI, his own artificial intelligence company, and launched Grok, an AI assistant integrated into his social media platform. He has also been one of the most vocal and controversial voices calling for AI regulation, warning repeatedly that uncontrolled artificial intelligence poses an existential risk to humanity. The man is simultaneously building AI and warning us about it, which is either profound self-awareness or the ultimate irony. Probably both. In April 2022, Elon Musk began buying Twitter stock. By April 14th, he had made an offer to acquire the entire company for $44 billion. What followed was one of the most dramatic corporate sagas in modern history. Twitter's board initially tried to resist. Elon threatened to walk away. Twitter sued to force the deal. Elon tried to back out, citing concerns about bot accounts. Twitter sued again. And in October 2022, Elon Musk completed the acquisition. He walked into Twitter headquarters carrying a literal kitchen sink. He tweeted, "Let that sink in." Classic. What followed was volcanic. Within days, he laid off approximately 50% of Twitter's workforce, roughly 3,700 employees, via email. Many more left voluntarily. He ended Twitter's remote work policy overnight. He introduced Twitter Blue, a paid verification system. He reinstated numerous previously banned accounts, including controversial figures. He rebranded the company from Twitter to X, changing one of the most recognized brand names in the world. He clashed publicly with regulators, advertisers, and governments. The chaos was real. The controversy was real. But the underlying belief was clear. Elon Musk believes that free speech, however messy, is the foundation of democracy. And he was willing to spend $44 billion and burn the world down to protect that belief. Whether you agree with how he did it or not, the conviction is not in question. In 2024, something happened that had never happened in the history of human civilization. A single private individual accumulated a net worth exceeding $400 billion. For reference, the GDP of South Africa. The country Elon Musk was born in is approximately $400 billion. One person, worth an entire nation's annual economic output. The word billionaire, which itself used to seem impossibly large, no longer adequately describes Elon Musk. We now need a new word. Trillionaire is next. And the people who track these things, the economists, the market analysts, the Forbes researchers, say it's not a question of IF. It's a question of ULUN, B-roll, stock charts ascending, Tesla stock price history, SpaceX valuation reports, graphs going up and to the right. Let's break down where the money actually comes from. Tesla, at its peak, was valued at over $1.20 trillion as a company. Elon owns roughly 13 to 20% of Tesla, depending on when you're calculating. Do the math. Even at 15% of $800 billion, that's $120 billion. From one stock, SpaceX, which remains private, was most recently valued at over $350 billion. Elon owns approximately 42% of SpaceX. That is roughly $147 billion in SpaceX equity alone. X, formerly Twitter, carries a valuation that contributes tens of billions more. XAI, his AI company, was valued at $50 billion after its Series B round in 2024. The Boring Company and Neuralink add billions more. This is not Oni fortune from Oni Company. This is a portfolio of world-changing companies, each of which is its own economic ecosystem. The wealth is not just large, it is structurally unprecedented. But here's the question I want to leave you with. Not how did he make the money, because we've covered that. The question is, WHW. Why does a man with $400 billion keep working? Why does he keep starting companies? Why does he keep provoking fights? Why does he keep pushing? I think the answer is the same as it's always been. It's the same answer that was true when he was reading encyclopedias alone in Pretoria, when he was sleeping on a beanbag in Silicon Valley, when he was watching his rockets explode, when he was borrowing money from friends. Elon Musk is not doing this for money. He is doing this because he genuinely believes, in a way that is either visionary or delusional depending on your perspective, and maybe both, that humanity needs to become a multi-planetary species to survive. That artificial intelligence will be the most transformative and potentially dangerous technology ever created. That sustainable energy is not optional. It is existential. That free speech is not just a nice idea. It is the immune system of civilization. You can agree with him. You can disagree with him. You can find him inspiring, infuriating, brilliant, reckless, visionary, dangerous, or all of these at once. But you cannot argue with this. The boy from Pretoria showed up. He did the work. He survived the failures. He made the bets. And now he is reshaping the world. B-roll. Slow motion montage. Young Elon at a computer. Falcon 1 launching. Tesla Model S on an open highway. SpaceX rocket landing. Stars. Mars in the distance. So what is the lesson? What do you take from this man's story? Here is what I believe. Elon Musk was not born with special gifts that you don't have. He was born in a normal house, in a normal city, to a difficult family. He was bullied. He was lonely. He was lonely. What he had, what he chose, was an unusual relationship with hard work, an unusual tolerance for risk, an unusual willingness to be wrong, fail publicly, and try again, and an unusual commitment to thinking about what actually matters in the long run. You may never build a rocket company. You may never be a billionaire. You may never change the world at the scale Elon Musk is attempting. But every single principle that took him from a library in Pretoria to the most financially powerful human being alive is available to you. The obsession, the work, the resilience, the vision, the refusal to accept what they say is possible. The only question is, what are you going to do with it?
Love him or hate him, Elon Musk's journey is proof that extraordinary success begins with an extraordinary vision. From a curious kid in South Africa to building companies that transformed electric cars, space exploration, and technology, he showed the world what persistence, risk-taking, and relentless determination can achieve. His story reminds us that every great achievement starts with a dream and the courage to chase it, even when the odds seem impossible. If Elon Musk's story inspired you to think bigger, work harder, and never give up on your goals, Make sure to subscribe to StorySnap US for more powerful stories of the people who changed the world. One story can inspire a lifetime. So stay curious, stay ambitious, and we'll see you in the next story.